Hello, Data for Democracy. I'm Nick Colley, one of the volunteers, and thank you so much for joining us for the Community Showcase. This has been an amazing weekend. A lot of fun-filled activities with surprise guests, as well as projects getting kicked off, with teams getting formed around them, with some amazing results coming out of these. Even if the results were just, hey, we've got a team coming, we're working on some regex compilers and trying to get things going. Those are huge moments and huge things that are going to lead to some great things in the future. I really like the word things. So to kick us off, we're going to hand it off to Jonathan and Morgan, who's going to say a quick little introduction.
Yeah, hey everybody. I just wanted to hop on and say first, thanks to everybody for like all of the work that went on this weekend. It was kind of incredible, like watching all of the tweets and messages come in and checking out the Slack channel from the in-person events all over the country and people that were digging in remotely and online. It was awesome. It was cool to meet everybody in person in DC. Hopefully everybody had the same experience wherever you were kind of throughout the weekend. And I also wanted to say, well, have everybody's attention. If you did start a little a project over the weekend, and it feels like there are some next steps, like some places you could take it. It's kind of the nice thing about this community in particular is that we're all still here online. It doesn't have to exist just in the hackathon. So there are a lot of active projects that you can use as a template. Feel free to reach out to me personally if I can help kind of get your project set up with a channel or a GitHub repo or build a team around it, or maybe even reach out to the larger community and find some more volunteers to take whatever it is that you got started over the weekend and to the next step. And maybe it's an ongoing project that gets partnered up with other organizations around the country and kind of goes even further. So, but all that aside, thanks again. This is a really fantastic weekend. Thanks to Nick for organizing it. Thanks to all the in-person, the people who organized all the in-person meetups and all the project leads who were kind of wrangling and corralling people online. It was a really, really awesome event. So thanks everybody.
Thanks, John. Thank you for the awesome words there. Yeah, so we had some amazing things. A couple of our shout outs are just cool event moments. We had a couple of our on-sites yesterday do their showcase locally, and we have captured the ones that have uploaded or the ones that have sent us the files to YouTube. So you can check out our YouTube page and you will be able to see all the sites. We have a little playlist. This video will be in this playlist as well. And for those communities that haven't presented yet or haven't given us the footage yet, if you just contact myself or any of the other leads, we'll make sure we get it up onto this channel because we really believe in showcasing what this amazing community has done, because without you, this community wouldn't be anything. It's just awesome what we all do. So just want to be able to give that shout out to everybody. So moving on, a couple other shout outs. So first, thank you to all the sponsors again that donated their space and time to help us organize. Piggybacking off of what Jonathan said, for the community members that set up those on-sites, that was a lot of wrangling and herding of kittens to make those events happen. Thank you so much for making that. Shout out to Data.World. This Data.World is a huge backer for what we're doing. They not only had people on our Slack throughout this entire project to answer questions, but they even sent people out to some of our locations to be there and to help just with that wrangling and herding. So again, thank you for Data.World. Importantly, thank you for the D4D community. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and work on these projects. We recognize that your time is very valuable, and for you to donate your time like this, it means so much. We have some great projects with some great results, and we're really starting to see this come to fruition. If you'd like to have your project or talk about your project or one of the hangouts or talk about the results from the hackathon, feel free to reach out to myself or to Lillian HJ on Slack, and we'll get that coordinated with you. Now on to the showcase. Some sites and projects have already concluded, so we already did the YouTube. And first up, we'll bring Gregory from the White House Papers, White House PDFs channel to talk about financial personal disclosure. Gregory, you've got the floor.
Hey, everybody, and thanks to everyone for helping organize all of this. A group came together in Austin, and the one-liner for that project is that we wanted to help parse and analyze the personal financial disclosure documents of executive branch officials and staffers, which was released by the White House on late Friday night. I'll go ahead and do a screen share and share a couple of things. Let's see here. All right, so everyone should see that one. So Friday, I saw that ProPublica tweeted this out, indicating that they had received some or requested some documents, and so they decided to go ahead and post those PDF documents. These are U.S. Government Office of Ethics, let's see, I guess you would say the Office of Government Ethics. These are OGE Form 278Es, which are disclosures of personal finance information by White House staffers and any executive branch employees. So you can request these documents from the whitehouse.gov site, but you have to request them one at a time for each individual person. And so this fella, Stephen Rich, put together a script to automate that. So that's available if you just want to put together a list of CSV names of people you'd like to request. And so that's what they did. They got a list of 180 staffers that ProPublica had previously retrieved and just ran that through here. And so these are the documents that they got back. We set up a D4D repository. Eric Bickel was working on this on Friday night and got this started. So this is all of the disclosures, as well as just some documentation and pointers to the source files here and the parser that the Center for Public Integrity had been working on. Rafa from data.world worked on that parser. It's a Node.js script that you can run real simple, and it just runs across any of these files. And since they're PDFs, they have a little bit of structure, but they're pretty ugly. And so Rafa did some work to actually clean that code up a little bit. And that pull request has already been integrated in. And the output is over on data.world over here under a project that Rafa started up. So we take the raw PDF files and break it out by the individual tables that are in those files. So you get the same sort of CSV structure for all of the different people. So you can download these files and work with them now. And we'll keep on updating those files as we refine the parser and find more PFDs to work on. So one of the people in our group, Todd Manning, he's weaponized on the Slack. He threw all of this data into a Neo4j database. And this is just the particular files that we had access to. They're still in the process of releasing the 180. There's about 80 that I think have been released by ProPublica, and I found a few more here recently, but this is those 80. And so you start to see some structure naturally emerge. This is organizations are in green, and individual people are in the red spheres here in this rendering. So this is just Jared Kushner's, he's the big blob there. He's got 267 positions on organizations outside of the US government. So we thought that was pretty strange. And you can see there's already some outliers over here. People who are not directly connected in some sense. This blob over here is all Trump stuff. So immediately you can sort of see where there's some interesting stuff happening and where it might be interesting to look some more. I found some more financial disclosure documents this morning over at the Open Secrets site, and most of these actually will be processed by the parser as well. That code's already up on the data.world data set this morning. So a lot of important people you'll see in here, like Betsy DeVos, Benjamin Carson, Donald Trump. You do have one here, but it's in a different format. So, but he takes the cake. He's got 564 organizations that apparently he's got some sort of role on. And then further ways of exploration, you may remember BuzzFeed put together this map of Trump World, which they're up to 2,100 people and organizations that they have data on that's accessible through this spreadsheet or through GitHub. And so there's the data there. And in fact, Neo4j is already working with this data set to pull it into a graph database. So it wouldn't be too heavy of a lift to combine these data sets and see if there's ways to enhance both. So a lot of fun, real good group. Yeah, that was some good stuff. So thanks.
Thank you. Those are some amazing results. Next up, we've got Gabriella from Seattle.
Hey everyone, I am here at our Seattle Hackathon location. We have a good contingent of folks here that are here on our third day. And I'm gonna go over kind of a high level overview of some of the projects that we did this weekend. So just to start, I'm gonna share my screen here. Hold on a second. Let me give a little overview of the ones that don't have a screen share here. So a couple projects that we did. NILC healthcare website was one of the project topics that a few of our folks worked on. And the goal of that project was to help the NILC create a simple web page website to help immigrants know their healthcare rights. So that work, I believe, is still going to continue. We'll see some more updates on that on Slack after the hackathon. There was also a gerrymandering project that a couple of people worked on, and the goal of that project was to quantify how gerrymandering of districts impacts voting results. So again, some really good thoughts there and hypotheses, and that's another potential project that people can work on after this weekend. Another project was looking into Detroit blighted buildings. And for that project, they were looking to find ways to prove when a developer is using fake incident reports to affect a property's value. So that was a pretty interesting one as well. They were working on finding ways to label data in a principled way. So that work likely will continue as well. Another one that we did, racial patterns and voting. One of our teammates here, Ed Freeman, was working to use election transparency voting and demographic data to look at the relationship between the percent of the population that in any given county and state was Black and the percent of the total population that voted. And so he created some pretty interesting visualizations that I'm going to show here in a second. And he actually has posted these also on Slack, so you're able to pull those and take a look. Whoa. Okay. Oh man. All right. Is it like intense window on window on window, or are we good here?
We're good. Rock on.
Okay, rock on. I can do that. Okay. Y'all can see this analysis, right? Just making sure you aren't still seeing my face. Right, cool.
We're good.
So this is the high level kind of recap of the work that they did on this project. And basically, all right, let's look at this. This visualization on the left here, one second. Let's do it this way. This visualization on the left basically is showing the trend of the relationship there between the percent of a population in any given state or county that's Black versus the percent of the total population that voted. So overall, across the country, the general trend or finding was that the greater the population was Black, the less overall voting was happening by county and by state. So there were some states though where that was not the case. And so this map viz up in the upper left-hand corner, do this here, is a really good just display of some of the findings from this analysis. So basically that relationship, the darker red the state is, the stronger the finding was that the larger the Black population was, the less voting there was, versus states with that are colored in green, that side of the scale, the finding there was that the higher the population was Black, the more voting was actually happening. So some pretty cool, interesting stuff happening there. And then let me see here. What else did we have? All right, I'm going to turn this over to Jonathan Torres, who worked on one of our other projects here, and he's going to walk through some of the findings that they had. So turn this over here.
Cool. Am I still screen sharing?
Yep.
All right, cool. So myself and 2 other members, Madi and Osama, posted their handles in the Slack channel. Worked on building a hate speech classification model. We definitely over-feature engineered for a long time yesterday and didn't really get any performance gain. So at the end of the day, we ended up sending the raw tweets into the classification model. And this is a confusion matrix that we got out of the model. You can see the true labels there on the left-hand side and the predicted labels on the bottom. So one really interesting thing that jumps out right away, you can see that the model has a really hard time differentiating between what's called offensive, but not hate speech, and hate speech. So the data set that we were using actually differentiated between the two, which I think would be really useful going forward as well, because there's some stuff that's offensive but doesn't necessarily fall within that hate speech category. So after we saw this confusion matrix, we took a look at some of the stuff that the model was mislabeling, and had a feeling that there was a possibility that maybe sometimes the stuff we were misclassifying, the reason we're misclassifying it was because the data that we had was labeled by people on Crowdflower. And so this next diagram, actually that hunch turned out to, looks like it's got some legs to go on. Where you can see here, this is showing the confidence that the person who reviewed the tweet had in the label that they gave it. And you can see things that were correctly classified. So that's that green line there on the top. For the most part, the human who did the labeling was actually very confident of the label. And then as they became less confident, it was less likely, or was much more likely that our model misclassified it. The really fascinating thing that we found when you're looking at this diagram is you look at the hate label. In general, the humans that did the labeling weren't really that confident in labeling something as hate speech. So it kind of like goes to the limitations of what a model like this can do, that because that humans disagree about what it would be classified as hate speech, the model actually picks that up even though we didn't pass that information into it. So there's definitely a lot more work to be done, and I think we're going to continue iterating on this model a lot more in the coming weeks, but some really interesting first findings.
So those were the main projects that we worked on at Seattle. I have one other just quick update here that I will give on another, let's see. Ooh. See if I can stop screen sharing here so it's not freaking people out. Help! All right, how do I close out of the screen share without
I think you hit that green button right there.
right here?
Which was the
Okay,
real button?
success. Teamwork makes the dream work, guys. So, okay, last thing here. One of our D4D members goes by the handle of Barack Obama, has a project proposal that he wanted to throw out to the group. So coming out of the weekend, he had an idea for a project. He's going to be following up on Slack with more detail on that proposal. But basically his hypothesis is that Trump is using his Twitter account and sending out these provocative tweets as a way to distract the general public from other things that are happening in the world. And so the goal of this project would be to look into the relationship between when Trump is tweeting these things and what types of current events are happening in the world at that time, to see if there's, if they're doing that at the same time. And so he's looking for some help from people with front-end web development, database development, data analysis, and machine learning skills. So if you're interested in that, feel free to shoot him a Slack. Again, it's Barack Obama, so good to see that that he's staying civically engaged after his term has ended. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Nick.
Thank you, Gabriella. So one of the projects that we were working on was a non-political project. It was trying to democratize weather data. So we had formed a team really quickly, and our goal is to take NOAA's QC LCD, which is quality controlled local climatological data. That's a tongue twister. Taking that data and making it easier to consume for people. There are APIs that are available, but it doesn't give you there's some limitations we have found with that. So one of our goals is to take this data set and to plop it into data.world with easy to understand terminology. So for example, you've got dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature. We're having to go through and actually research what all these terms mean, but by posting this, when we eventually post this on data.world, we'll be able to put these definitions there so that other people don't have to go back through and research it. So some of the things we are looking for, some help here, is if you're good with data cleaning, definitely come on board and help. Where the Slack channel is weather data. The other thing we're looking for is if anybody is super familiar with this data set or just with weather data in general, that would be super helpful or if you're from NOAA itself. So yeah, that was, we've made some really good progress, and we've got a lot of good work coming up to get this data more easily consumable by non-weather professionals. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Yulan, you are up next.
Hey everyone. So my friends and I ended up going down a data cleaning rabbit hole where we started looking at what does it look like to clean about a 1.7 million line file in different languages, benchmarking it, and also seeing how different languages scale their processing, discovering that R doesn't like streaming data and also is not necessarily the most efficient at text parsing, even though it's really great at tabular data. And so we hope to continue doing that a little bit more just to learn the idiosyncrasies of different languages. We've done Bash, Python, R, and Node.js. And I think we're toying with also implementing the same script in Scala and Julia. So that's it.
That is awesome. Thank you. And last up, Pratik.
Hey guys, how's it going? So we were working on the political ads project, trying to clean data out of TV station receipts that they file when political candidates buy ads. We did this about, I mentioned this in that page, there's about 7 or so different kinds of formats that most of the stations use. And over the hackathon, Shamna Gupta, who joined us remotely, was able to get one of those parsers out, written down in C. We worked on cleaning that up back into Python. We managed to put out another 2 parsers that were able to extract data on OCR and non-OCR data, non-OCR PDFs. So once that's done, I think we have about another 6 or 5 more PDF types that once we have that done, we should have a good universe of political data to work with. Alex Wasson, who's also at the hackathon, worked on some visualizations. A couple of other people in the channel were working on visualizing some of the data. They were using political ad archive data, which already exists, but they record data on the front end, trying to monitor TV stations for ad airing. So we were building out visualizations using that data. So once we do have the public filings parsed, we can just plug our new data into the visualizations. We're hoping to continue working on this over the next couple of weeks, and should have more updates about where this goes. With that, I think it's back to Nick.
Awesome. Again, thank you all so much for the participation. This turnout has been amazing. We will be having a postmortem coming up. We're going to push it back. The postmortem will be on April 10th. So use this week, rest up, get back into regular flow of things, and then we'll be sending out a form as well as having a hangout devoted to postmortem on the hackathon to see what we can do better or how we can better approach this and learn from this event. Because if we want to do this again, we want to make sure that the community has what they need available to make this an amazing event. Again, thank you all for your great work, and until next time, peace out.